Good morning. This is Glenn Greenidge and Tom Pope. We're coming to you today inside a conversation. The use of federal agents, is that something that's going to help the community or hurt the community? What do you think, Tom?
Now, if we want to be totally objective, is there any way the present use of federal agents is helping a community? Let's take a look at what they're doing. We have not really designated agents. We have agents without name tags in Humvees, whisking people off the street who are simply conducting a peaceful protest. When we go back to the use of federal marshals with Robert Kennedy, everyone knew who the federal agents were. And when we say community, we were talking about a whole group of people in those states that were being deprived of rights. Here, we're talking about a totally different picture. We're talking almost like a Jack Bauer kind of scene where you have an occupying force in the community. I can't, I'm trying to be objective, but I don't see another side of this. Do you?
No, I actually I don't, because I think that the presence of the federal agents are I think detrimental to freedom of speech and freedom to protest. I think that that the initial objective is to squelch the unrest. But again, if people are nonviolently protesting, there's no need for federal agents. But yet, the president seems to think that he's going to strong arm the situations, and the justification I don't believe is accurate. I don't he keeps talking about anarchists and so forth who are looking to disrupt society. And I think that what we have is peaceful protesting an injustice, an inequality that exists, that they're looking for an answer for. So we're talking about two different scenarios, in my eye, that well, for me, neither one justifies federal agents coming into the cities.
Now, if we saw the congressional hearing with Congresswoman Jayapal from Washington interview or trying to get some information from Barr, we saw that Barr had no sense of what was going on with the occupation in Michigan, including the terrible image of the doll to be lynched representing the governor. People with armed weapons and swastikas, and Barr simply said he was unaware of that. So how can we have faith in a government that turns its back on this and yet at the same time sends agents into Portland to stop mothers and people who are interested in the rights of the community?
Well, I mean, clearly this administration has, look at the photo op where they cleared out the park. Peaceful protesters, women and children. I think some babies as well. But the point is, they tear gassed them. They were just peacefully protesting. Um, and Barr was one of the people in that promenade to, you know, over to the church. You know, it's what we're facing is it really is egregious in that this president and his administration. I mean, it's not even just him; it's his administration um, are not about protecting the rights of the individual. Um, to me, he's more interested in taking away the rights of the individual. And let's face it, I mean, when you look at what he's done, he's basically not fully, but he's on a power grab. So he's got the judicial, he's got the executive, and he's got the Senate. That um, um, so you know you look at the ramifications of what he's able to do. He's able to do a lot of things that the separation of duties, separation of you know different branches of the government are not fully functioning because he's kind of infiltrated and usurped aspects of you know aspects of them that to his advantage, and nobody seems to be concerned about that. And the federal agents are part of this whole strategy to do whatever he thinks that he wants to do to take away people's rights. I don't know. Where are you at with this?
Well, I'm thinking if we want to be objective and want to answer some of the items as to the need for federal agents, one item stands out is the idea that violence is coming from the protesters. But if we really examine that, we find most violence is not coming from the protesters. Are we going to say that it's a violent act to use a blow dryer to send a canister of tear gas back to the federal agent? Shouldn't we be looking at why are they using tear gas?
Absolutely.
Or why are they trying to avoid the term tear gas when in essence it is tear gas? So it's very difficult to try to look at this objectively and legitimize any of the content. The other item with the legality is, I believe a federal law states how the federal agent should operate. Now, if the federal agent is concerned about protecting federal property, are we going to say that graffiti is such a crime that we need to have tear gas to stop the person who's the graffiti artist? This is that one statute is actually based on the notion of private property. But is this really private property? If it's a government building, this is public property.
Absolutely.
This belongs to everyone. And if people don't have the confidence in the government, they don't have a right to use graffiti. Isn't graffiti a type of freedom of speech?
Absolutely. You know, the thing that I think is probably the most upsetting for me is when you think about you've got society, you've got the protesters, the peaceful protesters, and what you're dealing with is a military approach to it. You've now added, you know, something. This tear gas is agitating. If I'm a protester, I'm peacefully protesting, and you throw tear gas at me, I'm going to be offended. I have the right to protest, to peacefully protest. And if that's what I'm doing, and you now attack me, well, now you've escalated the situation now. And let's face it, with the peaceful protesters, there's always some agitators in there already who are looking for an excuse to go after the police or the federal agents. So now you've basically thrown gasoline on a fire. You've now escalated it. People are already tense. People are scared. People are upset. People are disoriented. And when that occurs, then you have chaos. So you've caused chaos by putting a militaristic approach inside a peaceful, what started out as a peaceful demonstration. You now also are looking at these are not your community. At least the police have some relationship to the community. A federal agent has no relationship to that community. And what is he trained to do? He or she is trained to shoot, kill, arrest. I mean, they're not looking to do anything but what they're trained to do. They're not going to socialize. They're not going to find out, well, what's your beef? What is your real issue? They're not concerned with that. They're coming in with a big stick to hit you over the head.
I have a memory of the revolution in the Philippines with Aquino years ago. And one scene stood out with the military confronting a group of protesters. And one protester happened to put a flower into the barrel of a gun.
I remember that. Yeah.
Now, an act like that can start to break down the wall inside the person holding the gun. Can we do more of that? Is it possible to reach out to those military people, to the police, to turn them on our side?
Well, I think that the police, especially here in New York, have a challenge, and their challenge is going to be how do they do their job with less violence. And part of what you want to look at is who are the receivers of the violence. And so, for me, I would say that it's mostly the minority communities that are having violence used against them. And so there's going to be some training or stepping up from the community to help police the area. The police are going to need to have the support of the community and work with the community differently than they have. Because see, listen, the community and the police really want the same thing. They want to be safe. The police want to make it safe. The community wants to make it safe. It's not about, again, coming in with the big stick and knocking people around and being a badass. But what it is about is, hey, Tom, I know you. You're a shopkeeper. Are you okay? I know there's something going on here. Are you going to be all right? Do we need to stand in front of your place and protect you? That's the look that I'm looking for.
That might be a bit idealistic. I would like to think that's the role. However, I think we have too many in the police force who have the idea that it's us versus them, so we better control them. And I think we have to find a way of stopping that mentality.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're absolutely right, because it's the we they syndrome that has you be separate. And if people can understand their community and the community that they're serving, because for the most part, police officers are moved here and there and everywhere. So there's no consistency in terms of, you know, we used to have the beat cop. I think that that was the best example. Um, the beat cop knew the neighborhood, knew the people in the neighborhood, knew who the troublemakers were in that neighborhood. And if there was something that was jumping off, had access to community members that he or she could count on to support him and to, you know, and it wasn't just about the blue badge, but it was about the community and the police working together to minimize violence.
Well, I think we've touched on a lot of areas. What would you say in closing?
I said that the work that's being done um, to break up this we they syndrome of mentality of the police force um, is going in the right direction. I think the police have to understand and know how their job is changing and how they can do their job inside of the constraints that they've been given. Because the diaphragm law and some of the other laws, no bail and raise the age, um, do impact their ability to do their job if they're going to continue doing how they were doing it before. I think that that's
And what
part
about
of what,
the federal agents?
what it's like.
And what about the federal agents?
I think the federal agents is a bad move. I think that the federal agents
What
are
can be,
what do you say?
what can be done about that?
I think they need to be left out of the community. I think that you have the local police handle it. If at some point the city, the mayor, and that governor say, look, this thing is out of control, I need federal agents, and I need federal agents in this area to do this, not to just come in and freelance, but a controlled environment. Yes, I need federal agents. Here's what I need them to do. Maybe I need them to line up the street and and jump behind barricades or whatever. Okay, but we're not talking about shooting people. We're not talking about um, tear gas should be a last resort, not as soon as something jumps off. That's the first method that they use to quote unquote control the crowd.
Well, my worry is that the president isn't going to listen to certain governors and mayors. And I don't know quite how to stop him, um, other than if we could, when we see the federal agent, try some tactic like the flower in the barrel, um, and try to get some of them to realize maybe they shouldn't be there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Although that might be idealistic too.
Well, yeah, but we gotta start somewhere because it's about um, breaking the separation, breaking down the separation. We're all one people. We're all one country. We're all, we all want the same things. We may have different tactics and access points to be able to get to them, and that's the conversation that needs to be had. How do we get to that mutual place where we all want to get to? And because I believe that we all want to get to it.
If you enjoy what you have seen, look for us on Community and Social Change Facebook. The Facebook page has that title. Say hello to us, comment, get engaged.
All right. Well, thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
we'll complete for this session.